Which college? Learn anything, anytime, anywhere education. Whichcollege.co.
Coffin-Williams, and I am coming to you with another episode of the Millennial Magician Archives. And today we are going to be talking about Mercury Magic and surviving Mercury Retrograde. So hopefully you find this episode helpful, and let's get right to it. Mercury is a god that folks love to hate. And every time someone finds out that Mercury is in retrograde, there's a lot of hoo-ha, a lot of hem and hawing about the way that their lives seem to be going wrong. Or a lot of times people will attribute their life going wrong to Mercury retrograde, or they'll retrospectively blame Mercury retrograde for something that's going on in their lives once they found out that something went wrong during that time period. Which, in all honesty, is not super duper fair to Mercury, who is attributed as the god of mankind. So take a listen to the Orphic hymn to Mercury, and let's see if we can figure out some of the essential natures of the god Mercury and how the way that Mercury moves impacts us. Alright, so let's spend a moment going over some of the stuff that I have about Mercury in my own Book of Shadows. So I have a prayer here that I use that helps me align myself with the energies of Mercury, specifically on Wednesday, which is the day of Mercury. So the day of Mercury, all day Wednesday. The hour of Mercury, if you are someone who likes to participate in planetary hours, is sunrise on Wednesday. And then, of course, due to your calculations of when sun rises and sun sets, you'll be able to figure out when Mercury comes back around, as far as planetary hours go. But as far as working on aligning myself with the powers of Mercury, on Wednesday, when I do my daily devotionals, I start at sunrise, or when I get up out of bed and as close to sunrise as possible. I read this prayer. This prayer is a part of a larger grouping of prayers called the Rite of the First Offering, which was written by my temple elder, Gretchen Schork. And so you can actually find this out there and, purchase the Rite of the First Offering in basic Kabbalah so that you can understand, the method that is discussed here in, better detail. But as far as my Book of Shadows goes, I've got some correspondences. So Quicksilver and Orange are, associated with Mercury. Orange being a Kabbalistic color associated with Mercury. And then I also have a recipe here for Mercury oil. And I'll talk about the uses of Mercury oil later on down the line, and how that can be beneficial. But prayer, Mercury. We come to you upon the wings of thought, organized and resplendent in the learning and the communications of skills to all who seek the path. The orange of your realm is brilliant upon the book and the index, the computer and the caduceus. With swift eagerness we speak the light of learning, knowing it to be one step upon the way of return. Opening prayer. Additionally, I got some other correspondences here related to the grimoire work that is done with Mercury. So Mercury as a planet has an archangel that rules it. It's Raphael. There's an intelligent spirit associated with it, which is Tyrael. And then there's a spirit associated with it, Tefthart Tarath. So if you are interested in an in-depth study of mercurial magic, you can take a look at some of the angels, archangels, the spirits that are associated with it, and how it's written in some of the other grimoires. Let me read to you the Orphic hymn about Mercury. The Orphic hymn will help us understand some of the essential nature of Mercury and of some of the mercurial gods. Hermes, draw near and to my prayer incline, angel of Jove and Maia's son divine, studious of contests, ruler of mankind, with heart almighty and a prudent mind, celestial messenger of various skill, whose powerful arts could watchful Argus kill. With winged feet 'tis thine through air to course, O friend of man and prophet of discourse, great life supporter to rejoice is thine, in arch gymnastic and in fraud divine, with power endued all language to explain, of care to the loosener and the source of gain, whose hand contains of blameless peace the rod, Coruscian blessed, profitable God, of various speech whose aiding works we find, and necessities to mortals kind. Dire weapon of the tongue, which men revere, be present, Hermes, and thy suppliant hear. Assist my works, conclude my life with peace, give graceful speech, and me memories increase. The Orphic hymn to Mercury gives us very powerful tools to understand the essential nature of this god. So, of course, Hermes is the Greek god of Mercury. And then, of course, there are a bunch of other pantheons that you can classify certain gods within the mercurial kind of sphere. So if you take the Kabbalistic tree of life and, in Mercury, that kind of sphere, that planet, you can, figure out which gods kind of belong in that sphere by, just like taking a look at what they have in common or what have you. So some will place Hermes in there and Mercury, the Roman god, in there. Other people will say that Papa Legba is a mercurial spirit. Some will say that Tot from Egypt is a mercurial spirit. Some will say Loki is a mercurial spirit. So that's, one of the things that you can take a look at if you want to build relationships with a Mercury spirit and help you survive Mercury retrograde and maintain blessings of Mercury as you go forward. Let's take a look at the Orphic hymn to Mercury, which addresses the aspect of Mercury as manifested in the god Hermes. Hermes, draw near and to my prayer incline. Mercury, come here and listen to my prayer. Hear it. Angel of Jove and Maia's son divine. Maia is the mother of Hermes, whereas Zeus is the father. Studious of contests. Mercury, Hermes, studies the way that contests go in order to have the best outcome. Super good at contests, games of chance, games of luck. Ruler of mankind. It's a god of humans, with heart almighty and a prudent mind. Got a good heart, potentially, and the mind is nothing to be messed with as far as Hermes is concerned. Celestial messenger. That's a nod to Hermes' role as the messenger of the gods. Of various skill, whose powerful arts could watchful Argus kill. That is a nod to some mythology right there, and I definitely recommend that you spend some time reading up on some of the myths associated with Hermes. But Hermes is super skillful. With winged feet, 'tis thine through air to course, so that talks about the wing slippers. O friend of man and prophet of discourse. There's some nod to the fact that Hermes can do a little bit of divination or telling the future, or some discernment, really. Great life supporter, to rejoice is thine, in arch gymnastics and in fraud divine. So, of course, life supporter, rejoicing, gymnastics, so doing flips and all that jazz, and, tumbling and somersaults, what have you. And fraud divine is super duper important, though, because one of the things to know about Hermes, Mercury, mercurial gods, is that they do have the potential to lie. They have the potential to move in deceitful ways. And knowing that is important if you're going to be trafficking with a spirit that is mercurial. So maybe not all Mercury spirits will lie, but Loki is probably going to lie to you. Right? Each mercurial spirit does have a potential for trickery. So if it's not lying, then maybe it's talking about the truth in a way that is a little bit deceitful. or talking, or maybe lying through omission, or being like very silver-tongued, so to speak. With power endued, all language to explain. Mercury spirits can speak all language. Communication is definitely their jazz. Of care the loosener and the source of gain. You could get money. You could get abundance. You can get joy if you have the favor of this spirit. Whose hand contains of blameless peace the rod, Carushan blessed, profitable God. Of various speech, whose aid in works we find, and in necessities to mortal kind. This is a nod to the fact that perhaps going to Mercury first might be humans' best bet. Let's see. Blameless peace the rod, that's the caduceus, the healing rod, the medicinal rod. And also kind of gives thoughts to the fact that Mercury could also be a healer. Dire weapon of the tongue, talking, can lead to a bunch of undoing if you're not careful. Talk the right amount of shit, you could definitely undo some people if you have enemies. Maybe saying the truth in a situation where it might be volatile might also be a way. Like if you've ever been in a situation where, you're trying to maintain a certain relationship, or you're trying to, maintain a certain kind of gain, and then someone just like says the truth at the wrong time, or says the truth in a way that's harmful or weaponized, and how that can be the undoing. If you think kids say the darndest things at the darndest times, that is kind of a nod to that quality. So that right there, the Orphic hymn to Mercury, which addresses Hermes, is something that can be used to recognize the essential nature of Mercury and help you understand some of the things that you can do, or some of the things that you can gain access to by developing an ongoing relationship to Mercury. There are multiple gods who fall under the category of mercurial. Those are, of course, Hermes and Mercury right off the bat, but then there's also Thoth or Thoth or Jehuti from the Egyptian pantheon. Lu from the Celtic pantheon is also classified as a mercurial spirit. Enki, Set, Loki, and then some sources also put Odin as a mercurial spirit. So the gods that are very smart, mercurial. The gods that have a bunch of skills, mercurial. So that's where Lu comes in, right? Like Lu is the god who divvies out all these skills. You good at archery, Lu. You good at poetry, Lu. You good at swimming, Lu, right? Then there's also that aspect of like trickery or deceitfulness. So Hermes and Mercury will lie. Loki will lie. And then in the African diaspora, there's Pabalegba and Eshu are also considered mercurial deities, and they will also be up to some trickery. But for now, let's just talk about what it means to develop a relationship with a Mercury spirit. Let's talk about some of the magic that can be done with the help of mercurial spirits. So right here you see I got a little Mercury altar set up. This altar is set up to have the correspondences from the Kabbalah. So in the Kabbalah, the color of the planet Mercury and the sphere of Mercury is orange. So we got the orange candle, the orange tablecloth, this orange vessel where some offerings can be placed, some water, some liquor, some food, or what have you. For some flowers, because it's clearly a vase. But yeah, so Mercury altar setup, it's got this bowl here. This bowl is specifically for some divination with Mercury. And so that's what the dice are for. Then I also have the Mercury dime, which I don't know if you can see that. Boom, the Mercury dime. This Mercury dime is a pendant here. Got a coin. And some Mercury oil. And some incense. So first thing is first, when you want to build a relationship with Mercury, which I absolutely recommend, especially if you want to make sure that your life remains in order during periods of upheaval or Mercury retrograde, where they say that moving parts go wrong, communications break down, money might be delayed, and it's ill-advised for witches to practice magic during this time. If you want to maintain, confidence that your life is going to go off the way that you want it to, build an ongoing relationship with Mercury. Come to your Mercury altar on Wednesday. If you're super busy or if you don't want to work with planetary hours, come at any point during Wednesday. Come at sunrise on a Wednesday, and that will be your hour of Mercury. But any day on Mercury, you come and you say your mercurial prayers. If you are Kabbalistically inclined, you can choose Wednesday to do a bunch of your Mercury exercises. You can do your Mercury path working on the Kabbalistic Tree of Life on this day. You can do some meditations about the way that you communicate or about your finances. You can do some luck workings and, hit that lottery workings. You got to be in it to win it, And right now on this day, November 16th, which is a Wednesday, the Powerball is up there. But yeah, so come to your Mercury altar, do your Mercury invocations. You can read the Orphic hymn to Mercury. You can do the conjuration of Wednesday. You can address any of your mercurial deities. If you happen to be someone who patronizes Loki or Jehuti or Tot. If you happen to be someone who patrons Lu, then, say your prayers at your altar to them. And just start to get that alignment right. Channel that energy on Wednesday on purpose and start to get your aura filled with that glorious Mercury energy. If you are someone who is born under the zodiac sign of Virgo, or if you are someone who is born under the zodiac sign of Gemini, you can further support your work by burning incense of that title. And you can take your incense, light it on your Mercury candle, do your little cleansing and devotion of the incense, and start to just fumigate yourself. Get it going. And this is just like a very simple spell that you can do first thing Wednesday morning, and then you can leave your incense to continue to burn as an offering as well. The second thing that you can do is you can take your Mercury oil. Right, it's been charging on your Mercury altar for some time now. You take your Mercury oil and you anoint yourself. Maybe anoint yourself on your forehead, you anoint yourself behind your ears, you anoint yourself on your lips, your hands. If you like how the oil smells and you want to wear it as a personal scent, go ahead and do that. You can mix it in your moisturizer and rub it on your body that way. Definitely making sure that if your Mercury oil is composed of essential oils, then you are making sure that you dilute it in your moisturizer. You're diluting it in some olive oil before you put that on your skin, of course. But this mercury oil can also be used to anoint things like dice. And these dice are important because it leads into a discussion about divination with dice. So that's coming up. But you can use the mercury oil to anoint these dice and to sanctify them in the name of Mercury. You can use it to anoint your Mercury talisman. So you can get a hold of a Mercury dime, keep it on your Mercury altar multiple times. You can pray over it, you can charge it, you can bless it while you're channeling that Mercury energy. Anoint it with your Mercury oil. And then come time for Mercury Retrograde, which is when the planet appears to be spinning backward, right? We know it's not actually spinning backward, but when the planet appears to be spinning backward, you wear your Mercury talisman, or your Mercury amulet, excuse me. And you can, it's full of that Mercury energy that you put into it, that you focused into it when you were doing your devotions. You can get a coin. Boom, get a coin. And you can anoint this with your mercury oil. And you can smoke it in some mercury incense. Say your prayers over it. You carry it with you. You use this coin to attract luck in games of chance, attract luck when you're gambling. You use this on your scratch off. If you're spending $20 on a scratch off and you definitely want a bigger payout, let's say that you spend $20 on a scratch off and you want to get at least $35, $40 off that scratch off. Pull out this coin, hold it while you're choosing the scratch offs, and listen to that intuition, and then you scratch your scratch off as a way of impacting your gaming luck. Additionally, carry this with you. You can charge it so that, it makes use of the aspect that Mercury is a psychopomp. Hermes is a psychopomp. What this means is these deities, psychopomp deities, Anubis is a psychopomp. These deities travel back and forth between realms, in particular the realm of the underworld, the realm where humans live, and the realm of the heavens where the gods are. So being a psychopomp is one of the things that happens when you are a messenger of the gods. And so if you want to be able to travel through spaces with ease, you can charge your magical coin with mercury energy, keep it loaded with that energy, carry it with you, so that when you are off on your travels, you are getting into doors easily, you're not getting stuck super duper easily, traffic is not a bother to you, and you are able to move without struggle. And this is, you just get a coin. It can be your special mercury coin. This is not going to be a coin that you spend. This is not going to be a coin that you barter or trade unless it's for a really, really good reason. So you out and you gambling with a bunch of other witches, and you pull out this bad mamma jamma, and you're like, hey, I have a coin that is charged specifically with mercury energy. This coin unlocks all doors for you. It gets obstacles out of your way, and it helps you travel between realms. And, in human speak, this might mean that this can help you talk to some really rich people if you want some investors for your business. It helps you, get the favor and the backing of people who may be less fortunate in terms of, social status or social class. It might be considering like the people who are less fortunate as, a real world underworld, so to speak. Or if you're someone who deals with criminals, this coin will help you and aid you with that, and you can add a value with this, and you can put your Mercury coin up for gambling. And if Mercury really, really is on your side, then you get your coin back and you get what you're gambling for. Additionally, as was stated earlier, Mercury Hermes, mercurial spirits, spirits who deal in trickery, also have a tendency to lie through omission, bend the truth, do things to throw you off course or move you out of the way. And it really does depend on the strength of your relationship to help you recognize whether or not you can rely on what a mercurial spirit is saying to you. You do your devotions weekly. You do your devotions maybe monthly. You pay attention to Mercury before Mercury retrograde even hits the fan. You develop that relationship. The more you're able to trust what Mercury is saying, what Hermes is saying, what divination is, saying to you. But let's go through a ritual real quick where we petition a Mercury oracle. So over here at the altar, start off by making our petition to Hermes, to Mercury, to maybe, Papa Legba. Maybe it's Eshu, depending on, the pantheon that you work with and who you're trained to work with. O sweet Mercury, the help of mankind, silver-tongued, swift-footed, you whose luck in contests and gambling is assured. I invoke you and I call upon you to descend upon this place. Be here with me and share your grace with me as I am in need. Invocation. Then, put a pinch of incense on the charcoal, sending the prayer up to the heavens to reach Mercury. So as this is happening, perhaps you visualize Mercury getting a whiff of these incense and descending upon you. And how this works is the orange light comes down through your crown chakra, turns your entire chakra orange, down into your third eye, turns your entire third eye orange, down to your throat, turns your entire throat orange, down to your heart, turns your entire heart chakra orange, down to your solar plexus, turns your entire solar plexus orange, down to your navel, turns your entire navel orange, or keeps it orange, invigorates it with Mercury orange energy, down to your root, turns your entire root orange, down in between your feet, into the earth. And so now you are an access point. Mercury energy is flowing from the heavens down into the earth through you. You are that pillar. Taking that energy, expand it throughout your aura so that you are encapsulated in an egg, a solid egg of orange Mercury energy, and you channel that through you. Now that you've got the energy going, push it down onto the altar maybe. Maybe touch the altar. This altar is a nexus point. This altar is a point of focus for Mercury energy. May my relationship with Mercury thrive here. May my relationship with Hermes thrive here. May my relationship with Lu thrive here. May my relationship with Inky thrive here. spend a moment pushing that energy into the altar, charging the altar. Now it's time to smoke the items that you want to belong to Mercury. And so once you do this, you are only using these items on your Mercury altar. If it's your first time using your statue of Mercury or Hermes, then you smoke the statue. Your coin, smoke your coin. Your amulet, smoke your amulet. First time using your vase, smoke your vase. It's going to be your first time using your dice for divination. Smoke those die. 1, 2, 3. And your oil too. Why not? So all those items have been smoked and consecrated by the air. Now, once you do that, you are only ever using these items in conjunction with Mercury Magic. So they are your items, of course, but they belong to the relationship that you are building with Mercury. Next thing, open up your oil and you channel that Mercury energy down into your oil. And you visualize the oil starting to sparkle with that orange energy. If you're into it, blow into it. Push that orange energy into there and say another prayer. I place the blessing of Mercury upon this Mercury oil, filled with Mercury energy and Mercury grace, that it may serve me in my times of need, for my magical purposes, so mote it be. And feel free to pray that over your oil every single Wednesday, every single time you come to do your devotion. There's no harm in it. It will only do good. And then from here, just put a little bit of that on your fingers. Rub it into your hands. Consecrate the vase, Mercury oil. Put a little inconspicuous dab on your Mercury statue, especially if you are worried about there being a poor interaction between the oil and the substance that your statue is made out of, that your idol is made out of. You take up your amulet and you anoint that with the Mercury oil, the chain too, if you're using a Mercury dime, the dime as well. Then you put the whole thing in your hand. Put your hand over it and you push that Mercury energy into it. I charge this item with the power of pure Mercury, that it will aid me in my time of need and be a true and faithful amulet, that I can access the power of Mercury stored within, and through it I am made stronger, so mote it be. Same thing with your Mercury talisman, the coin that you might use. Anoint that with the oil as well, the oil that's in your hands. This coin is made out of copper, so oil definitely not the best thing to kind of put with it, because it will kind of change the shininess of it. But rubbing it into your hands and whatnot, it's going to be the best bet. So not like dumping oil onto it, not having your fingers or your hands dripping with oil, but just put it on your hands, rub it in, and then just do your little anointing on your coin. Again, I charge this item with the pure power of Mercury, filling it up so that I may use this energy later as I need and as I see fit, so that I may be stronger and better for it, so mote it be. And then lastly, take up those dice and you anoint those. If you have multiple dice, go ahead and anoint all of them. And you place the blessing of Mercury upon them. I do charge these die, the power of Mercury, that I may communicate with Mercury, and that Mercury may communicate with me. The symbols and the knowledge and the power of present and future events as a clear channel for communication, of honest communication and legitimate communication. Communications that I can trust, communications that I can rely on and depend on to help make decisions about my life. Forgot to smoke my bowl. And charge the bowl as well, a sturdy vessel. So once all that is done, you can continue to dwell in the Mercury energy if you see fit, or you can move into a place where you are actively using some divination, right? You want to know something about your day. The red die, the white die, the green die, they are for a reason. And so once you take a look at the slide that I have coming up that talks about divination with the use of the dice, like it'll, help you understand that the red die and the spots on the red die have specific meanings for the numbers. The white die and the spots on the white die have specific meanings for their numbers. And then the green die also has a specific meaning. So those are all outlined in that. I will say that the book that I got that from, Fortune Telling by Dice, it's got all that stuff out there, in the text that you can take a look at, and it'll help you, do a little bit more understanding about why the three different dice are used. I will say that you do not have to have a red, a white, and a green, but you do have to have a dice that will represent the 100s place. It's the red one. So when you roll that, if you roll it and you get a 3, that's 300. You need to have a dice that represents the 10s place. So when you roll that and you get a 2, that's 20. So now you're at 320. And then you will have to have one that represents singular units, or the 1s place. And so for this one, it's the green die. and you roll it and you get a 6. So now your number is 326. And 326 will have a meaning based on each of those spots. And then if you want to, you can also have a set of die where you just interpret the numerological value. So you roll the 2 dice and you get a 4 and a 6. 4 and 6 is 10. 10 is a number of completion, of unity. And then let's say you get 4 and 1, 5. That's, a different number. If you get 6 and 5, where's that at? 6 and 5. That is 11. 11 equals 2. And you can also take that into the place of like a master number. But I do not recommend going above that when it comes to interpreting numbers. So if you roll a 6 and a 6, you got 2 die, and the 2 6s come up. 6 and 6 is 12. 12 equals 3. And that's how you interpret that numerologically. So using these in divination, right, you just give them a good little mix. You throw them in there. You see how the green one didn't land inside, like it just fell right out? That means that there is no value. There is nothing that the green one has to say because it fell away from these other ones. So with the red being the 300s place and the white one being the 10s place, this and the 0 in the units, like because the green one is for ones or single units, fell out. This is 310, 310. And so there is no message for 0. So it could, so 310, that's literally just it. The other thing to think about, however, is that if you are rolling the die and only 1 lands in and 2 land out, the white one is for the 10s place, you got a 2, then the message that you got is a 20. And so you kind of discern what that means. 2 plus 0 equals 2. That's your numerological message. In the slide, it talks about a few other methods. So if you're not using a vessel and you just roll in a die, boom, that is a message. However, if you've got demarcations, so if you've got the circle drawn and you boom, put the stuff in there and, let's say that this is outside the circle, then you don't read the green. You only read the 2 that's in there. However, if you got the circle on the ground and 2 of them land outside the circle and 1 of them stays in, then you disregard the 1 that's in there, the 1 that's different, the 1 that landed differently, and then you just got the 2 that landed, outside the proximity. And then again, you can also draw the big circle, divide it into 12 parts where each of the houses represents something different. Future, present, home, career, family, friends, enemies, so on and so forth. And then you roll the die, and one landed on enemies, 1 landed on family, and 1 landed on the future. And then you would then discern what each of these individual meanings have for those houses. So that's a way that you can do some divination by dice.